The cars are ready, the drivers are ready. We hope you're ready as qualifying is about to begin here in Bahrain. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction, and over the course of a lap, it's easy to get that balance wrong, and that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now, and it never gets any easier.
Hey guys, welcome to another video, this time with F1 2018. As you can see, we're doing the Bahrain Grand Prix. Just a little highlight video just to show you what you can expect from this year's game. So just a quick run at qualifying, and then we will move into the race. We're also going to show you some of the interactions with the media. I find this game is a huge step up from last year's game. It still looks virtually the same, barring the inclusion of the halo, which was a much debated issue. So as you can see, we qualify pole on with the Toro Rosso. Here's one of the first interactions that you get for the race weekend. They do come at random points depending on what you do. So if you crash in practice, you might get an interview after practice. Because I qualify pole, that's where my interaction came. I do find the interactions, the timer that you get is quite short, so it doesn't really give you much time to really read the options that you have. But it's still a cool little feature that they've introduced. I did find it was a little bit tough to pick the right answers based on the team you're in or the team that you want to go to. So if you're wanting to go to a team like Ferrari, which is pretty much my goal, you want showmanship. If you want to go to Mercedes, you're looking at sportsmanship. So getting those right answers will increase that team possibly wanting you. I did do this race on a relatively easy setting just to kind of show you the race. I do tend to do the races on easy first, just to advance through the career and kind of get where I want to go, and then later on I do the harder ones. So I will do videos later on the harder difficulty. So as you can see here, the coverage that they put into the game is virtually the same as the TV. The commentary is a little bit same, so every race it's pretty much the same commentary that you get. So the next time I do Bahrain, it should be the same dialogue that you have gotten in this race. So all the coverage, so barring the grid walk, would have been cool to have interviews on the grid, like you do get in the F1. If you have F1 coverage on your if you've got pay TV or whatever, the starting grid, as you can see, the one thing that I do find with the easier difficulty is the AI is a little bit, I'm not going to say dumb, but it's aggressive to the point where they just follow the line, and I'm pretty sure, like last year's game, even on the harder difficulty, it is the same. So the drivers tend to follow a racing line, so no matter if you're on the inside, they still tend to turn in. So as you see, I got a pretty average start, made a little bit of contact, which they do remember, as you'll see later on, but I got a good run through here, and was able to catch up to Vettel and pass him pretty quickly later on in this lap. Once I get in front, it pretty much stays that way. The Ferraris do tend to stick with me for a little bit, but I do eke out that lead, and then once the pit stops happen, it virtually stays that way, and I build my lead. So I'll let you guys watch a little bit of this highlight until later on. So as you can see here, guys, we are moving into our first pit stop. This is only a 25% race, so there is only the one pit stop. The pit stop interactions are pretty cool. I do remember in previous games a few years ago you had to press certain interaction buttons while in the pit stop, so I'm kind of glad they don't do that anymore because it was a little bit frustrating. The only thing I haven't come across in the last game or this game so far is problems in the pit stop, so they do tend to be quite standard. Unlike F1 in real life, you know, front wheel or rear wheels can jam and cause issues. So here you can see, like, coming up to Ocon after my pit stop, they defend quite well, and even coming into this corner here I tried to get around him but pulled out just because I knew that if I pushed too hard there would be damage, and I do have the flashback but didn't really want to use it here. So once I get past Ocon, as you can see I've skipped forward to the last lap. The lead between myself and Kimi Raikkonen, and you can see Bottas is in third, but that doesn't last very long. The lead has built up, so when I think when I went into the pits it was only maybe 4 or 5 seconds, but has grown to be quite a decent lead. But as I said, it is on an easier difficulty, so in real life or even on a harder difficulty this would not be the case. This car does not have the power to challenge the Ferraris, especially at this point in the season without any upgrades coming through. So a little bit unrealistic in that respect, but being on the difficulty I am, it's kind of understandable. So run through the lap, no problems, clean racing, clean lines. The graphics are pretty impressive for for this year's game. They have stepped up the graphics a fair chunk. Even the detail in the stands and the race for this year's race at Bahrain, you do get that difference. And if you go through the practice sessions where it goes from daylight to that sort of dusk and then nighttime, it's quite impressive. So big congratulations to Codemasters on how they have created this year's game. So as you can see, I win the race, and it will cut to the team celebrating. The first race that I did in Melbourne, the dialogue was quite cool. Instead of last year saying that the teams won another race, which in their case would not have been true, it does have a different dialogue which kind of talks about the team progressing. As we had this race, because I won last race, it has a different form of dialogue talking about the team's progress as well. And then when we get to the podium with Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel, quite a neat little lineup up there, as that's the team that I'm ultimately gunning for. So quite a neat little visual, and I do have a little free shot, which would be a dream team, if, in my opinion, if those two drivers and me were kind of there. So a little bit of a celebration, champagne. Would be cool to have the post-race interview, but unfortunately they don't have that like they do in the real coverage. So there you go, a little screenshot of the three drivers up there, and then again after the race you get this interview, which, as I said before, the options don't quite come with a long time. It is quite a short timer, so trying to read those answers and get the right one for your career is a little bit tough. But thanks guys, stay tuned for more. Remember, hit that subscribe and like, and we'll see you next time.